Hello everybody, happy Friday. Welcome to our second YouTube video for Igniting Change. We are so thrilled to be here. I love to just share information and help people. Today we're going to talk about something that I feel is very important, especially for teenagers. It matters to adults too, but especially for teenagers, and that is perfectionism. What is perfectionism? Well, basically, it means that nothing less than perfect is acceptable. And whatever I'm doing, whether it's school, whether it's relationships, whether it's sporting events, performance in some kind of expressive arts or performing arts or whatever it may be, perfectionism means it has to be perfect or it's no good. And that's dangerous thinking. That's problematic thinking. Not only does it mean that I only accept what's perfect, but it also means that if I'm not perfect, I'm not acceptable to others. And that's tough. That's really tough because everyone is valued, everyone is important, and we need to help our teenagers to feel that way. So when perfectionism becomes an issue, what we do is we tend to put on a mask. We tend to pretend like things are okay even when they're not, even when we're just really upset or kind of boiling inside. We're frustrated beyond belief because something isn't quite right. We refuse to ask for help, typically, if we're perfectionistic. And we even become obsessed with whatever it is that we have to be perfect about. We can't let it go. We can't stop an activity. We can't transition to something else. And it's just really, really hard, and it tends to overwhelm and take over our lives. We also end up going into absolute thinking, which is very black and white. I'm either the best or I'm the worst. I'm either going to succeed at this and be a success, or if I don't succeed, then my life will be over. So those are kind of the thinking patterns of someone who is very perfectionistic. And as you're watching this as a parent, most likely you can identify some of those tendencies in yourself. So take this feedback and try to implement it for you as well. What can parents do to help their teenagers as they struggle with this? Well, I'm going to show you some information. I'm going to switch over to a slide and let you see for yourself what can really help you as a parent. What are some of the tools here? So here you'll see a slide, and we're going to talk about the difference between achievers and perfectionists. So this is something that you as a parent can do to help your teenager to start to overcome perfectionism. Talk about the difference between these two. It's okay to achieve and to be an achiever. It's difficult and depressing even to be perfectionistic. So let's talk about what the difference is here. With achievers, they tend to focus on progress and improvement. They tend to look at things as a process where they get better over time. And even if they don't achieve perfection, they feel good about progress. Perfectionists, on the other hand, will focus exclusively on the end result. Did I do it perfectly? Or did I do it at least better than everyone else? Did I make mistakes along the way? It's not about that journey toward progress and accomplishment for them. It's more about what's the end result, and the end result makes it valid or not. With achievers, the next thing is that they do desire success, but perfectionists, on the other hand, require it. They absolutely must have success, or they go to that absolute thinking that they are a failure otherwise. Number three, the achievers tend to have intrinsic motivation. It comes from inside. They want to do well, and they thrive on progressing. They feel fulfilled. They feel joy when they accomplish things, and that's all wonderful and great. It becomes a problem, though, for perfectionists if it's all extrinsic motivation, which means that they thrive on feedback from others. If they don't get that feedback, then it's a problem. They feel terrible. So they need to be told constantly that they're the best, or they're the smartest, or whatever positive feedback. If they don't get it, then it was a disaster, whatever it was. Achievers also use a flexible, growth-based mindset. They see the journey as being valuable. They see progress as valuable. I think about, in my own experience, when I took piano lessons as a kid for many years, all through high school, and I recognized that my teacher was there to help me to be better. And so the feedback that I got was critical to that. I never played anything perfectly, but I knew that with that feedback I could get better. We'll talk more about feedback in just a moment. However, perfectionists use rigid absolute thinking. There's not a growth mindset there, like the piano student would have. The rigid absolute thinking is that I'm either great at it now or I never will be. So there's no in between. And frankly, life is all about the in between. Achievers also see feedback as a tool. As I just said, the example of piano lessons, I got feedback from my teacher all the time, and that was exactly what made me achieve and progress. Perfectionists will resist feedback. They will say, no, I'm not even going to listen to someone who's trying to help me out because I can't accept that I'm not the best or I'm not perfect at it. So I don't even want to hear feedback from anyone. The next one is achievers ultimately feel joy and fulfillment. They feel happy, and they're okay with the progress that they make, and they're okay with not arriving at perfection, which frankly is impossible for any of us. But perfectionists, on the other hand, they feel anxiety and distress constantly. They're constantly concerned about wanting to be the best and having to be the best, and so that creates a lot of negative feelings there. Achievers ultimately can be themselves. They feel content with who they are, and perfectionists cannot be themselves. They just can't be. They have to be the perfect version of themselves, which is impossible to be. Okay, so there's the difference between achievers and perfectionists. That's one key thing that parents can help their teenagers to recognize. It's okay to be an achiever. It's okay to have motivation to constantly be seeking to be better, but let's avoid perfectionism, all right? Here are a few other things that parents can do to help their perfectionistic teens. One, they can encourage and support achievements without expecting perfection. So the language you use and the attitude that you demonstrate can really help your teenager to recognize that if they accomplished something, even though it was imperfect, that's valuable and that's acceptable to them. So encourage and support that with both your words and your actions. Focus on the individual and never compare. As we know, every teenager is different from every other one. They're unique in their personality, their skills, their learning approaches, and so forth. And we want to focus on them and not compare them to others. That's going to help them feel comfortable with who they are. Next, we have the recognized effort and process, and don't focus on results. If your teenager works really hard to get everything done in school and they, let's say they have a challenging class, they work really hard and they get a C or a D, and they've done their best. That should be good enough if they've truly done their best. Everyone's different. They're not always going to have the same abilities, the same academic strengths and weaknesses. So recognize the effort and the process along the way and not so much on the results. Next, you have demonstrate imperfection in yourself and being okay with that imperfection. This one, I feel, is one of the most important aspects of helping your teen to overcome perfectionistic tendencies. If they see that you recognize your own imperfections and that you're okay with it, you can laugh at it even. You can roll with the punches of life and move forward even when you make mistakes. They see that they can do the same thing, and that's very valuable for them. Use humor. Humor is so powerful. It can really diffuse intense situations so well. I've seen this with my own kids. It's very important to recognize that when you have a tense moment, when perfectionism is kind of overwhelming, do something funny, do something enjoyable, something entertaining, and that can really help break up the tenseness there. Also help your teen to see the negative thoughts and the anxiety that do tend to come when they go into a perfectionistic response to something. If you can see that they're really getting worked up about something because they're obsessing over it, help them to see it. Call it out. Do it in a way that isn't shaming. Do it in a way that's loving and shows empathy, but help them to see that, yes, you're aware that they're struggling right now, and you want to point it out to them so that they can do something about it. And then finally, be present. Engage with your teenagers. It's a sacrifice oftentimes to be a parent. And that means that we get off of our phones. That means that we don't always get to pursue our preferred sources of entertainment and spend our time the way we want to. But engage with your teenagers so that they know that you care about them and that they are very important to you. What matters to them is going to matter to you. Therefore, whatever they accomplish, whatever they do, is going to be valuable, and it's not going to feel like they have to achieve absolute perfection to even get your attention. So there's a few things to think about for parents. Ultimately, perfectionism is something that touches us in one way or another everywhere in the world. I'm doing this recording from our office in Lehi, Utah, in the United States, and that's a culture that is fairly perfectionistic because of the high percentage of religious people here. All of us can overcome perfectionism. All of us can work on that, and we can achieve happiness and fulfillment as we do so. You're going to do it. I have trust in you. You're awesome. You're great parents. You care about your kids. You're going to win as long as you continue to strive and accept imperfection and accept the efforts that you and your kids are making. It's going to be awesome. You're going to have joy. Thanks. Stay tuned for more videos. Subscribe to our channel and help support the cause of igniting change throughout the world. Thanks.